This is episode 94 of Michael Jackson's Dream Lives On, an academic conversation. Your hosts are academic Elizabeth Amizou and academic Karin. And today we are going into chapter 3 of the Dangerous Philosophies. We discuss on Michael Jackson's Dancing the Dream. I loved this chapter, Liz. I really loved it. And you ask very good questions. I will read the small introduction. Michael Jackson's words were disseminated in liner notes, magazines, and even a blog. His first published book was a 1988 autobiography, Moonwalk. The second, a children's storybook based on the film Moonwalker. And last, in 1992, publication called Dancing the Dream, Poems and Reflections. This chapter contextualizes the latter collection within Jackson's career, and it positions a work of autobiographical as Moonwalk as a pivotal and hitherto uncelebrated moment in his artistic career. The chapter poses and answers the following questions. What is Dancing the Dream? And how is it significant? And how should we read it? And I love that. It's you make beautiful connections. But first you ask the question, what is Dancing the Dream? You argue that in terms of structure, focus and layout, it bears a resemblance to early modern commonplace book. What is a commonplace book?
A commonplace book was a type of notebook that was used in early modern England. But it's interesting because when you talk a lot about when we talk about academic research, what happens is that obviously the academic grows over time, and commonplacing is something that I was really looking at the time in terms of my master's degree. But now I'm doing a PhD in MJ studies and early modern English literature. So I feel like I've kind of moved a little bit away from the connection between the commonplacing, because I've listened to a lot of criticism. I've heard people talk about it. In terms of Dancing the Dream, it's having a resurgence at the moment, and people are really trying to get hold of copies of it, and they're finding them very expensive because in a lot of places it's out of print.
Yeah.
And I think that it's I don't want to put any labels on the book myself anymore, but I just found that commonplacing was something that I thought was the closest thing to what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it's a commonplace book, because it isn't. A commonplace book was something that was done in 17th century England. But I just wanted people to start thinking of the types of text it could be synonymous with. And that's why I talked about commonplacing in the first place.
Yeah. Well, you say early modern British, but it's also in the Netherlands. Remember a book I have here that's also a commonplace book. And I think in a way, you can do it with every book you read. But as an academic, you make notes of everything you read, isn't it? And you place your own thoughts with it also.
It's a style of writing, and it's basically saying that Michael Jackson used an anthology style of filmmaking, and a sort of almost like a scrapbook style of a pastiche or a montage style of creating art.
Yeah.
Taking lots of disparate pieces and bringing them together. And Dancing the Dream is no different.
Oh, okay. And you also split it up in parables, philosophies, and poems. And so you have 3 different sections. But do you think there is a connection between those things, the parables, the philosophies, and the poems? Do they stand on themselves?
I just wanted people to start thinking about how you could categorize the works.
Oh, okay.
And it's all in a bid to help people understand what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because they say a lot more than we think. And so when we start with the philosophies, You write at one point, it creates a vignette of life through the metaphor of performance, just as Shakespeare. Would you still say that?
Um, I've always compared Michael Jackson to Shakespeare. My
Yeah.
PhD research is comparing Michael Jackson to early modern playwrights and stuff. So um, I think all great art is comparable. And what page number are you taking your quote from?
This is from page 22. So you write the entry, Dancing the Dream, corals imagery of the dead and the dying, the history of slavery, victory from oppression, the fight for intimacy, and the search for something more than we already are. And it creates a vignette of life through the metaphor of a performance, just as Shakespeare did in many of his works.
Yeah, but then I go on to clarify. So when I
Yeah,
talk about this, I'm really being very specific about Shakespeare's metaphor of all the world's a stage
yeah.
and all the men and women merely players. And then also Macbeth, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. And then tying in this concept, this very specific concept of all the world's a stage in terms of connecting that to Michael Jackson's life on the stage.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So when I
Yeah,
compare Michael Jackson to Shakespeare, I'm not doing that just because I'm like trying to be trite or anything. I'm doing that because Michael Jackson was a performer and Shakespeare was a performer, and they both performed for audiences.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because it connects the book with the poems and the works that he writes to what he does on stage, in a sense, isn't it? It connects. It's a,
They are connected. They are
yeah,
connected.
yeah,
So, for example, you have the title, Dancing the Dream.
yeah,
That connects performance to poetry.
yeah, yeah,
And then you also have things like Heal the World. Heal the World is a poem in Dancing the Dream. Then you also have other song lyrics, and then you have poetry from Dancing the Dream in the liner notes for Dangerous. So these things are connected. All I'm
yeah.
doing is drawing attention to that fact.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it
It
makes
is
the
interesting,
whole.
yeah.
It's interesting because you have Dangerous and everyone. That's the album. Dancing the Dream is not separate from that.
No, not only is it not separate, it's intrinsically linked to it.
Yeah,
It's part of it.
exactly.
So I have a section of the chapter where I just talk about Dancing the Dream and Dangerous,
Yeah,
and I argue that they are synonymous with one another.
yeah, yeah.
And
Deliberate
they're symbiotic.
symbiosis, symbiotic. Yeah, and do you think that was a very deliberate thing that Michael did himself?
I think they feed from one another in terms of metaphorically, semantically, lexically. You get words from the book are echoed, repeated, and represented in the album, while songs in the album extend motifs and themes that are introduced in the book. So this is
Yeah,
a period of creativity that Michael Jackson had in the Dangerous era,
yeah,
the early 90s, where Michael Jackson was really creating a Gesamtkunstwerk,
yeah,
which is a complete work. It's something we've discussed in a previous episode, but
yeah. We did. Yeah,
put the episode in the show notes. But it's basically an entire work that's immersive, and everything that he created at this time all links together in a very powerful way that they hadn't done before. So before you'd have songs and short films, nice.
yeah,
And then even the live performances weren't intrinsically linked to the short films and the music in terms of motifs and imagery. But in terms of Dangerous, everything was really linked together in a very strong way.
yeah, yeah. And you're right about that. And one of the songs, "Gone Too Soon," um, which really has a very specific place also in his whole oeuvre because it was later used for Ryan White. Um, but it is also used in his, when he passed away. So you write in the poems, this is Jackson reaching into the transom of his mind for the dream of the celestial and eternal. Page 24.
Yeah, I compare Michael Jackson to poets because he was a poet.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm trying to like give him some sort of standing that he doesn't already have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be grandiose here. Like he does employ biblical imagery. He talks about two-edged swords. He talks about honeycombs and false prophets, River Jordan, hearts of stone. And then it's a very romantic sense in a capital R, obviously, like Wordsworth, Coleridge, Keats,
Yeah.
and then obviously Shakespearean in its style as well, in terms of the type of imagery he uses. Even the fact that he calls the book Dancing the Dream
Mm-hmm.
is very powerful imagery. Um, and I would argue that the cryptic cover of the Dangerous album is in itself is a powerful image that conjures different ideas and imagery of almost a Shakespearean notion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. You also talk about that he was particularly fond of two biblical lessons, the parable of the talents, and you say that is completely in how he works and his own method of working. And what was the other? The second one, that is the little children. He has a lot of things about the children. And I had like, in a way, it's also overly romanticized. Do you think that?
No, I don't. I don't think it's overly romanticized. I think that poetry in itself is a form of expression that is sentimental.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's apt for its form and it's doing what the author, the poet intends it to do. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. And we know that he always elevated children above adults anyway. And you also have,
Yeah, because we've got like The Boy and the Pillow
yeah.
and Wise Little Girl, which is all about the inner wisdom of children. And realizing that what truly matters is the value of the heart, not material wealth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you've got some poems and poetry and works in Dancing the Dream about innocence. Um, The Fish That Was Thirsty, I Searched for My Star. And they're really difficult to kind of place in terms of who these poems are and reflections are for,
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of adult themes in them,
Yeah.
but they're very simply put together.
Is that to make it available for a lot of people, you think?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's one of those moments where you really wish you could ask the poet,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
that would
Would
have
be nice.
that would have been
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
And if Michael Jackson had any notes that he used to compile Dancing the Dream, any of his own recollections and ideas around Dancing the Dream. But just like so many great poets, and I'll bring us back to Shakespeare again,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have that information.
No.
So we have to go on our own interpretation of the texts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, and especially interpretation, because he creates a lot of those words he writes. His poems are about children, and the children are pure, innocent, simple, while women are typically wanton, exasperating, or saintly mother, figures. Um, and, 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 Yeah. What are your thoughts with that?
I think it's something that's discussed in detail in the book.
It is.
So there's a whole chapter on Michael Jackson and Children Revisited, which is all about the theme of childhood in his work and songs like Childhood. Um, and I go into a lot of detail in terms of child actors and performances that he had alongside children in things like Moonwalker Anthology. That's another chapter in the book. So I would say that if you wanted to know more about that, I'd read that chapter. And then what was the other thing you were talking about? Women. Okay,
The
women being
women. Yeah.
exasperating.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of discussion about Michael Jackson's portrayal of women in his work, but it is definitely about performance and drama.
Yeah.
It's about the dramatic. It's either a love story or it's a completely harrowing um expression of love gone awry, but it is for the drama. And it is for the sake of the performance and the dramatic performance. So I don't think that that's necessarily a problem.
No, I don't think it's a problem. But what I find is interesting is that, and maybe that's because everything is in TV and you see films and etc. Um, is that what he does on stage is theater. It's performing, and people can't make the shift between performing and reality.
Well, Michael Jackson didn't really make a strong distinction between the two. He let them be seamless.
Yeah. Do you think that was deliberate?
Yes.
That makes it very difficult for people to.
Yeah, but people don't generally understand art.
That's true. Yeah.
So why would you try and make it so accessible that everybody can understand it? Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to be like frank, his music was incredibly accessible. It was so
Yeah.
accessible that you didn't
Yeah.
even need to understand the language he was speaking in.
Well, that's interesting because sometimes you feel that the language is just a form of sound. Just he makes and then you have like, what? It's sound. Um, and I think that, and that is what you see in poetry. It has a rhythm, it has a cadenza, and Michael Jackson has the melody. Melody makes everything. And I think that's also what he once said. I want good melody so everyone can hum my songs. So melody is what makes it so accessible. And in that sense, maybe a book is more abstract. Do you agree with that? If you read.
I think that Michael Jackson made a lot of very accessible art. So I don't think all of the things he made need to be that accessible for audiences. I think he could create things that were niche and things that were for a very specific audience instead of just this universally accessible art of like thriller short film. He has a range as an art. He had a range as an artist, and
Yeah,
that ranged from things that are widely accessible to things that were less accessible, and
yeah.
that's okay. I don't think people need to get everything he did. I don't get everything he did like perfectly. I don't think so. I don't think we need to. I think some things need to remain a mystery for us.
Well, that's what he liked anyway.
Yeah,
So,
he's not here to tell us, but
no.
I think that some things in terms of art can always remain a mystery. And
Yeah,
that's why again I compare Michael Jackson to people like Shakespeare and
yeah.
learning modern playwrights and things like that, because so much of what they made is still quite inaccessible to us because of the time in which it was made.
Yeah.
And I think Michael Jackson's work has parallels with that.
Brilliant. So, what is dancing the dream? You explain beautifully, page 29.
I think it's really important to talk about the fact that Dancing the Dream is not like other books. Although it has a title, pages, and illustrations, the similarities really stop there. In order to fully appreciate the considerable aesthetic depth of the collection's 46 entries, we must consider the title, the text's discourse features, and its content. So, what does it mean to dance the dream? Is the poet dreaming of dancing, or is dancing his dream? And I go into a lot of detail about what the book means, what the connection is between the artwork and the structure, the focus, the layouts, in terms of reading, what it means in terms of reading culture and the personal nature of the work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's beautiful, and we're not going to explain everything because people need to read the book.
I think a lot of the people that are listening to the episode have got the book and they've read it. I think what would really be helpful for them is to read Dancing the Dream again.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's something I had when I went through this chapter again. Gosh, I need to pick up my Dancing the Dream again to really go, because you make these you give the book on a golden platter for us. So I would say first read this chapter, see how Liz has divided in the things, the philosophies, the poems, the parables. She has beautiful tables in the book that express exactly what's where and what it is about. And what I also liked, and we briefly went into that, is the symbiosis between this book and Dangerous. And you have a significant part of this chapter is about Dancing the Dream and Dangerous. And it's wonderful if you read that and then simultaneously not only read the book but listen to Dangerous. I would not forget that. Listen to Dangerous and watch the short films. I mean, it's short films, it's songs, it's the book, and it all forms, it's two, I would almost say 3 works, symbiotic in art. And that is what we say Gesamtkunstwerk of total art. And I think this is the best example of that. So, and even when you want to go deeper, so in a wider context of Jackson's artistic canon, what relevance, so if you look beyond this, and maybe after, because before is not possible, but after that, what relevance does Dancing the Dream have?
It's the only work of this kind that he chose to publish.
Yeah.
So it's highly significant.
Yeah. Do you think that if history wasn't necessary, without going into details,
I think history is always going to be necessary. Like, I don't think that without history, Michael was going to do another Dangerous. I think Dangerous is really as close to perfection as it gets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but knowing Michael Jackson, he always wanted to be more perfect. That we've seen that with Thriller also. So
he was always going to go in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
And history marks another direction. I've got a chapter in the book about history, which is called Michael Jackson's autobiographical potency.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that history is accepted in terms of the artwork it was. And it's not like a sense of like, oh, what if those things hadn't happened in the 90s and he didn't have to make history? Like, I feel like all those bad things that happened to him, he made them into gold. And that's why the discs are gold for history.
Mm-hmm.
He turned all the dross of his life experience into gold. And that was a remarkable transformation. There's a remarkable alchemy to his work. So I feel like in terms of each of the pieces of art he created, each of them are singularities. Each of them are highly significant and important for their time. And they speak to culture and creativity in a unique way.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why Man in the Music is such a good book, because it speaks to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you say that, and I have to think about visual art, something he did also. But you can see that he comes from the rags and riches, what you write about, and goes to work with Quincy, makes Off the Wall, and then Thriller, Bad, and then those are all developmental eras. They all part of the bigger picture. And then he has in the middle, he has Dangerous, and that's the total art. Susan Fast says it's the coming of age because he went on his own. And yeah, an artist, I think, you see it also in visual art. They also, you expand. You can't stay the same all the time. The thing with Michael is that he already had so much, he was already so well known that people were hungry for everything he would produce. It took also a while, you had to wait very long. And I like that because he was able to go further. So yeah, and then create an album as History. And later Blood on the Dance Floor and moving on. Yeah, so again, those who do not have the book, I would highly recommend buying it because this is you need to read this if you want to know more. And if you want more companion, I can highly recommend Liz's course about that's a companion to the Dangerous Philosophies of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, the online course is available from Online Arts Education.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a really deep dive into everything Michael Jackson, everything creative, all of the ideas that we discuss in this podcast, and like way more, just way more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you close it also beautiful. It is more than a collection of early 90s ephemera, or even a gift for fans. It's an experience in and of itself.
In and
of it, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 copies of this. I have 2 copies of Dancing with the Dream. So it's gonna.
Oh, okay. I have one.
I have the.
I keep that.
And I also have the other one as well, the American one.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think this is my favorite because this is the one. This is a reissue. I think this is the reissue.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite because this is the one I kind of discovered. I only discovered Dancing the Dream after Michael Jackson's passing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very much like one of those things that's left behind after someone dies that kind of helps you connect to them again more deeply.
Yeah.
So I find it really, really, really powerful, really beautiful book. Kind of feels like it helps. It's always helped me through moments of grief or difficulty in life. And I think it's very powerful for that reason.
Yeah, also for normal life, if you grieve or if you have something, it's good to go back to it, to read something, and to feel kind of a consolence in it, isn't it?
Yeah, Dangerous is 35 this year. Can you imagine?
Wow, no. Yes,
35.
35 years. Wow. Yeah.
And I've got a course on Dangerous, but is it live? I'm not sure if it's live because
No, it's not live. It's not
bring them
live.
down because let me double check.
No, we need to upgrade. They will come back, and hopefully soon. And then you will see the catalog where you can find the courses. Yeah, and I would definitely do that if you want to go deeper into the albums and into his art, etc. There's always more to learn, to explore, and it is also, I would say, if you read The Dangerous Philosophies and you want to study Michael Jackson and his art, start there. And then go into the MJ Academy and find a course and listen and read and start your research. Yeah. Isn't it? Exactly.
What we do.
Good. So we The next one,
Our next
it
episode.
will be chapter 4, narrative in Michael Jackson's Bad.
Okay, narrative in Michael Jackson's Bad. This is going to be a really powerful episode because I have an article on the journal
Yeah,
called Bad, 1987.
yeah.
And it's free to read, so you can just download it. If you want to prepare for the next episode, you want to get a bit of reading done, read that, and then also read the chapter in Dangerous Philosophies.
Or
Um,
buy the book if you don't have it yet.
yeah, but I think a lot of people that are listening to this have the book. I've been talking to a lot of lovely people that have been buying it, so yeah, I
Yeah,
think that a lot of our listeners have it. And if
yeah.
they don't, by the time they get to episode 21, they'll have it. So
Yeah, because we want to keep it dense, not too long, but enough to spark your interest. Because you don't want to read the book, you don't have to buy it anymore. We don't want to spill all the beans, isn't it?
um these episodes are really just important for for the dream lives on. I think they're really, really important for the dream lives on and in terms of having a really strong analysis of the books because that hasn't been done anywhere else and it's been 10 years. So it's important that for the 10th anniversary that we did something like this, where we go through every single chapter. So people can say, but have you done chapter 17? Have you done chapter 12? And we can say, yeah, we have. There's an episode on that.
Yeah,
Listen to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, then I encourage everyone, and I will put it in the show notes, to read, to prepare yourself for the next chapter, the next episode, chapter 4, the narrative in Bad. I will place the Liz's essay in the show notes. It's a wonderful read, absolutely stunning. I mean, yeah. But read it, prepare yourself, and we will be back the next time, episode 95 with chapter 4. Anyway, thank you so much, and it's all for love.
Take care of yourselves.